So Ingram on the left, you see Metagame Gurus there, was the Indianapolis Open champion. That was the most recent Modern Open, so looking to go back-to-back in Modern. He and Andrew Jessup meeting in the finals, both players currently 6-0.
Yeah. One thing I will say on this matchup, for Drew, if he has one of these Burning Tree Emissary heavy draws with just a bunch of Burning Trees into a Reckless Bushwhacker, then I could see him really stealing a game quickly.
So turn 1 on the play, Pete is able to suspend Ancestral Visions, takes a full 3 off Flooded Strand and Steam Vents to do so.
Yeah, in the dark you make that play. That makes a lot of sense. He might not be too happy about losing all that life now that he sees a Stomping Ground and presumably a 1-mana creature.
Yeah, Experiment 1 is the play. All right. This puts Drew on all of exactly 1 deck.
There's not a lot of surprises from the Experiment 1.
No. So the Visions ticks down to 3. And now Peter's going to sit back. You see Mana Leak in hand. And try to stop any sort of real explosive turn 2 here. You know, if Drew goes for a Burning Tree Emissary, you probably can't counter it fast enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're mana leaking Burning Tree Emissary on site.
Probably mana leaking anything.
Basically anything.
Any card. Curd Ape, would you mana leak a Curd Ape? I'm trying to come up with the worst card he could play.
I think I'd probably.
Let's find out. Curd Ape. Now, yeah, Peter has to think. Yeah, I was going to mana leak something. I guess he has Anger of the Gods in his hand.
Well, then I don't really care about
Wild and the Cattle
anymore.
Okay, now, I mean, if he has the land for that Anger of the Gods, I'm letting all of this resolve.
Yeah, I mean, the Experiment 1 will be able to regenerate, but that's not super important.
He will mana leak away the Nacatl. Okay, I like that. So instead of going for the 3-for-1, he's going to mana leak away the Nacatl.
That way you ensure an empty board. You don't need a 3-for-1 when you have Visions on Suspend. So that Ancestral will come off, and could also be off the second red mana if he does have Anger.
I like that as adaptive play there. So often you want to 3-for-1 people with your removal spells, but to recognize that you have an Ancestral Visions and say, you know, I don't have to do that yet.
Yeah.
That's good on Ingram's side.
Yeah, you don't need to fight over dimes on your way to the bank.
And a big stumble for Ingram. He casts Serum Visions, misses his land drop, scries 2 to the bottom, and says, go.
Ugh.
So for Iafrate, now it is big punishment. Here's Burning Tree Emissary, Reckless Bushwhacker, Surged.
So speaking of combo kills.
This is 12 damage. Peter's going to go to 3.
A 2-mana investment for 2 bodies that attack for 5 without other creatures.
He'll go to 4. Bushwhacker does not pump itself. Path to Exile will hit the Experiment 1. So, okay. Damage is 3 off the Ape, 3 off the Emissary, 2 off the Bushwhacker. Peter will be at 7. Gives Drew a land. Still a rough one. Remember, there was a double scry to the bottom, so there's no guarantee here that Ingram is getting off 2 lands next turn.
Right. Even something like a red source on a dual land would cost him 2 life.
Oh, there it is. Goes to 5, casts Anger. All exiled. Ingram is at 5. But next turn, he will get a full grip of cards off that Ancestral Visions. We'll see if Iafrate can close this one out. He's got Peter down to 5.
And Wild Nacatl, Reckless Bushwhacker.
That's going to do it. So game 1 goes to Drew Iafrate. You see a bit of a sigh there from Ingram. That's, you know, with that kind of draw, you'd think that you win that game more often than not, but Ingram didn't this time.
You know, we've been talking about updates to Jeskai. Didn't really talk very much about Reckless Bushwhacker.
Yeah, okay, let's take a second here to talk about Zoo. This is a deck that actually in SCG Milwaukee was the first Modern Open of this season. This was the talk of the town for the tournament.
Yeah, very explosive deck. Reckless Bushwhacker can pile on a ton of damage. It's an upgrade from Goblin Bushwhacker, especially considering that off of Burning Tree Emissary without any other mana sources, you can just cast it.
Yeah, that interaction specifically is just so scary. You know, that 5 damage out of nowhere. So we'll go ahead and look at the sideboards. We'll start with the Zoo deck for Drew Iafrate. He's got 2 Gut Shots, a Destructive Revelry, 2 Grafdigger's Cages, 3 Path to Exile, 2 Tin Street Hooligan, 2 Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and 3 copies of Lightning Helix.
I'm mostly looking at Thalia here. In that game, Pete, stumbled on land, and then you could make the Ingram of the Gods cost 1 more. Also, Pete's deck's just super heavy on spells in general.
Yeah, seems really strong here. I like that much. Something like Grafdigger's Cage, it interacts with Snapcaster Mage, but nothing else. Well, actually, hold on. It interacts with the Emrakul combo kill as well.
It does. At that point, though, you can just discard. You can keep using your Nahiri to filter your draws, so it's fine. It seems a little bit narrow. I don't think you're winning a ton of games that make it to turn 6 or 7 anyway, and I think that games could be more inclined to last that long because you're drawing Grafdigger's Cage instead of a creature. So I'd rather just have a bunch of bodies and burn spells.
So for Drew Iafrate, you may have noticed him from coverage earlier here. He has 2 standard open top 8s here in Dallas. On top of that, he is the current reigning SCG Dallas regional champion. So in the regional championships earlier this year. So I would say to say he's the local end boss, it's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah. The regional end boss.
Yeah, every time we come to Dallas, whether it's for a regionals or an open, he's in contention for the title.
Yeah, and then on Pete's sideboard, he has a lot of stuff that is also not very exciting. The 2 Geist of Same Craft, those don't come into play here. 2 Crumble of Dusk, Ride Out. 2 Spreading Seas, 2 Slow. The 1 Wrath of God I do like. The 2 Negates, not so much. 1 Dispel is actually a maybe. You want to be very efficient in a matchup like this, though the Drew's deck is so heavy on creatures, we probably don't see that one come in. Mostly looking at the 1 Engineered Explosives, the 1 Timely Reinforcements to add to the 1 main deck copy, and the Celestial Purge is also pretty good.
Yeah, Purge I was interested in. There are some red cards in Drew's deck, but not too many. For Peter Ingram, though, the SCG Indianapolis champion, he is part of that 5-man crew. That's TeamMetaGameGurus.com. 25-year-old from Wantagh, New York. Pardon if I can't say that town's name right. He's got 3 open top 8s. We mentioned that win. That's this season. Also has an invitational top 8 to his name. Name has been turned into his own language courtesy of Ben Friedman and Alex Masterson. I don't even know what that means.
I believe that this is what we in Minnesota refer to as the Ken Burl effect.
Okay. Elaborate.
So Ken Burl is a longtime player. He's not old, but he's middle-aged. He's old relative to most Magic players. He's been around for a long time, and about a decade ago, the better players in Minnesota were so entrenched with Ken Burl that there were players that would have entire conversations that consisted only of the word Burl.
So you just
They'd be
so if you
hanging
just say the
around-
word Ingram, that's a whole so it's kind of like how Pokemon talk. Is that what we're doing?
Sort of, except everybody is an Ingram, or everybody is a Burl.
Okay. Can Peter Ingram say words other than Ingram?
Well, he can.
Okay.
The language wasn't developed by him, right? Is that it was his friends?
Well, yeah, by Ben Friedman and Alex Masterson. Peter's going to be on the play. Starts off on Hallowed Fountain. Shocks for it. Casts Serum Vision. Scries 1 to top, 1 to bottom.
Yeah, there was a fetch land as well, so down to 17.
I liked it when he took 3 to cast Ancestral Vision. Taking 3 to cast Serum Visions, well, Ingram was on a mulligan to 6 here, so it may have just been a necessary.
Unless your hand is very land heavy, I think that you generally do want to take that damage to cast Serum Visions on turn 1 in these matchups. Particularly, if he already had red mana and Lightning Bolt, then maybe you wait. But I do think you have to. You will lose more life in the long run sitting on your spells and playing tap lands than you will playing them untapped and trying to be tempo positive.
Curd Ape was the turn 1 play for Drew. It'll swing in and knock Ingram down to 15.
It's an Eternal Masters Curd Ape.
4 in Eternal Masters even. Looks no, it's just. Is it just English? I think it's just English.
Well,
I like the original art on it.
I like the Arabian Nights Curd Ape.
He doesn't. He has the same art as revised, right?
Yes.
It's just a monkey.
Yep. It's a big old monkey. The monkey is the foreground and the background.
Drew will try for Thalia, but Ingram at the ready with Mana Leak. Picks up an Arid Mesa for the turn.
So if you want to make your way up and check with us, if you can identify the keys.
Will main
we'll
phase fetch. See if it's that basic mountain he's looking for. It is. Interested on 3. He'll cast Timely Reinforcements.
Now, I'm not sure
Yeah,
what's
we'll
going
confirm
on with
life
our
total.
life totals, but if this is just for 3 1-1s, that tells me that Pete's hand is probably pretty bad, or this could be a stumble.
Yeah, no life gain on it. It was just the 1-1s, and he'll triple block the Curd Ape. Drew, Atarka's command pumps Ape, deals 3 to Peter.
Yeah, I have to imagine that
Wow,
Pete's
okay.
hand is not very good if that's the play that he's making.
Well, or it's great.
It could also be great and he has to do something with his mana, but I find that less likely.
And
It could be that Pete blanked on the conditional aspect of the life gain.
Well, you don't always expect that your opponent is at 14 just naturally.
Yeah, just didn't check the life pad. Oh, I guess those are a lot of untapped Ravnica duels, aren't they?
And Drew goes ahead and goes down to 13, to get a tap land. We go back over to Ingram for the 4th turn, casts Serum Visions, draws his 4th land, scries 2 cards, top and bottom. The land he drew was a fetch land, so see if he can not avoid playing it here, and he will. Passes back. Now, he does have a Snapcaster in hand, so the ability to Snapcast that and that Timely Reinforcements is not off the table.
Yeah, needs to get another mana source in play before he's able to do that.
But if Drew gives him the chance, here's Goblin Guide and Reckless Bushwhacker surged. If this stands, this is 8 points of damage. Peter's going to go down to 10. And it looks like he will mana leak the Reckless Bushwhacker.
Good call.
Swing with both. He'll get a Goblin Guide trigger, see if he draws that land. If he hits the land, and he does, Sulfur Falls, that
a great
Snapcaster play is all set up for him.
Yep. Fantastic pickup.
Ingram goes to 6. Snapcaster, yeah, doesn't even have, Drew Nahiri didn't even have to think about it. It's Snapcaster and Timely Reinforcements. 3 more 1-1s for Ingram, 6 more life points. He's back to 12.
Mason Quo, if you were in the room.
And with a Nahiri still in hand, this is a great place for Ingram to be.
Oh, yeah. The question is, what does Drew have left in the tank? His creatures don't make very good attacks at this stage in the game.
All right, so for Drew, he's back to the drawing board. Facing down now 4 creatures, opponent at 12. He'll play land 5, which is a forest. Give a spin with 2 of it for Flinthoof Boar. That's now a 3/3. Red mana gives it haste, and here comes the team. Goblin Guide will show a mana leak, and now we're to blocks. A 2/2, a 2/3, and a 3/3 are all entering the red zone.
The board definitely very good at adding to the pressure on this turn. The 5th land looks a little weak until we have now seen that mana leak on the top for Pete. It's very likely that Drew will be able to have enough mana to resolve a spell through a single mana leak for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Peter does have that Nahiri in his hand, so he can always discard away the mana leak if he doesn't think there's value to be had for it. And I think what Pete's deciding about is that does he want to try to play around Atarka's command?
Yeah.
Can he play around Atarka's command?
He has a good amount of life.
So if he puts, it looks like he wants to put 3, Snapcaster and 2 1-1s on the Curd Ape. Nothing on anything else. The card in Drew's hand is Lightning Helix, so Snapcaster dies. Drew gains 3. The 2 1-1s die. Peter takes 5, goes to 7, draws mana leak.
Yeah, so that block was fairly good against Atarka's command.
Yeah.
Pretty bad against that Lightning Helix.
Against Helix, he'd want to block that. He would have wanted to put the 4th human in.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, against Atarka's command, there's no real if he's going to block that way, I think it is just best to put the last one in front of the Curd Ape as well.
Right. It's not doing anything else.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to lose an additional creature to the Atarka's command. Nahiri from Peter. It's going to use a -2 to exile away Flinthoof Boar, conveniently leaving Drew with just red cards. His remaining card is a Celestial Purge into Mana Leak. Yeah, but Drew rather liked Flinthoof Boar, so we decided to draw another.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a green card. If that's another board, it's a very good draw. Yep.
The 3/3, it has haste. This is lethal. This is 7.
Yeah, we'll force a chump out of that 1/1.
Goblin Guide trigger for Ingram. Serum Visions, he won't get to draw that. Confirm where all these attackers are going. The 2 red creatures are going for Nahiri.
Okay, since there's no lethal attack anyway, I do kind of like that.
And it looks like the soldier will chump the Flinthoof Boar.
And now the Serum Visions is a much worse top deck with the Nahiri off the table, because Pete won't be able to scry anything that he can draw this turn.
Snapcaster and a white card on top of his deck off the scry. Pete left himself in a spot where a Anger of the Gods or a Wrath of God would be very good here. I think that's why the chump block happened.
Yes.
His draw was a land. Believe a Ghost Quarter.
Not a very exciting one at this stage in the game. The Mana Leak that Drew knows about also not doing a lot of work here.
There are very few cards in Drew's deck that cost more than 2. This Mana Leak is likely a dead card.
Yeah, the hard cast Reckless Bushwhacker could be tagged by the Mana Leak.
Yeah, right, except that Drew knows about it, so it's just...
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the Surge Reckless Bushwhacker probably could be tagged too.
Yeah, that's also true.
He's playing Magic whether he wants to or not.
Pretty tough scry here, I guess.
Well, if he's scrying them to the top, then I think he has to decide whether or not these 2 cards have a chance of winning or whether he just the chance is too low and he needs to hope to draw better. He's put them both on top.
It might be, he has a dream scenario. He specifically would love to find Anger of the Gods. Probably looking at 2 cards that are possibly good enough.
He'll Ghost Quarter Drew's Sacred Foundry, and what a heads-up play. There is only 1 of each basic in Drew's deck, so that works.
Strip mine.
No, Drew, all right, let's see. Swings both. Swings team. Kurt Ape will get exiled. You see that Peter is declining the Goblin Guide? Yeah, shows Snapcaster. Drew says, no, we're going to look at it. Plays Experiment 1. Peter is at 2 currently from that attack. So he draws Snapcaster Mage.
So the Snapcaster could find a removal spell for one of the creatures.
Well, I don't know if he has a way to remove Flinthoof Boar.
Yeah. Celestial Purge can't deal with that one, and the Snapcaster only chumps the boar. Yet not having a Lightning Bolt or a Lightning Helix in his graveyard is a pretty bad spot.
Well, I think he's going for Serum Visions because he knows the next card down.
Yeah.
So maybe if it's a Lightning Helix, say, then it's okay.
Well, he tapped in a way where that would not be okay.
Well, what can it be anymore then?
Path to Exile? Even with that, he's just kind of hanging on.
Okay, so it could be... well, he first of all needs to hope this Experiment 1 stays a 1/1, I think.
Right. He
right.
needs that to happen.
Interesting. Yeah, it might be Path to Exile. He will pass. A creature should win it for Drew. Can he hit it? Wild Nacatl, I think that's it. Plays it, evolves the Experiment 1. And that's going to be enough. I don't know the last card in Peter's hand, but I don't think it matters. The Path to Exile is no good. And Drew Iafrate 2-0 gives Peter Ingram his first loss of the tournament.
I don't think we gave Zoo enough credit.
That was impressive. Yeah.